Welcome, welcome. Tonight we are talking about shadow shaming and the lunar eclipse. Shadow shaming and the lunar eclipse. As you all know, we are in a lunar eclipse, the energy of the lunar eclipse right now. And for the past week, I've been sharing cards, oracle cards that I'm creating from the Seven Centers of Attraction oracle card deck. And one of the cards that came out was Shadow Self. Shadow Self. And it is absolutely no coincidence that this card came out now while we're in the lunar eclipse. So we're going to talk about the connection between this card and the lunar eclipse tonight. If we have time, we may work in some other cards that came out that were also significant. But if we don't get a chance to go into those, you can look back at my other shorts. We had a sleeping giant and a tragic love card come out. Both of those are also significant and tie in with the shadow self. So as well as energy vampires, that was another card that came out. And again, I've been sharing this on my YouTube channel as well as on my Instagram account, which is also Pangea Northstar. Greetings to those coming into the chat. Please remember to say hello, give me a greeting as you come in. Also, if you like this type of information, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and also to share this video. So let's get into it, you guys. Shadow Self is number 43 in the Seven Centers of Attraction Oracle card deck, which will be available to the public later this year. And I'm going to share the message that's on the card as well as the message in the book as an introduction to this conversation. Before I do that, let me introduce myself. My name is Pangea Northstar, for you all who don't know. I'm an energy healer, a sound therapist, a Reiki practitioner, and I love to share. Most specifically, I share about how to attract the love and the life that you desire based on the laws of attraction. And we do that by teaching about the chakra system is one of the ways that we do that. Also, I am an intuitive and an empath, and I love to help people with tapping into the energy field and just, answering questions as they come up. So if questions come up for you that are related to this topic, please ask your questions in the chat. Greetings, everyone. Hello. Hi, Cooper. Hi, Rahi. I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right. Kit's Cat. Greetings. We're talking about the shadow self. The shadow self, number 43, is the card that came out today. And the shadow self, this is the message on the card, you guys. It says shadow shaming is holding you back. You're being guided to acknowledge your flaws. And the key words are shadows, transformation, and self-mastery. So the whole message within the booklet that goes along with this card deck is as follows. You are being guided to acknowledge and examine your flaws. Your shadow self, which is your insecurities, habits, default settings, toxic traits, also, your unconscious mind, indicate a need for healing. But you must first admit that those shadows exist. Bring your shadows into the light of truth, love, and acceptance to unlock their powers of transformation. These shadows are an extension of your consciousness that are actually working for you in loving divine order. They attempt to guide you to self-mastery by continually resurfacing in your own psyche and in the people you attract. So your shadows will continually resurface in the people you attract until you turn and face them. To find the courage to look at your shadows, remind yourself that everything in existence is created by God, creator, source for a purpose, including light and seeming darkness. Okay. And again, those keywords were shadows, transformation, and self-mastery. And again, you guys, This is a crown chakra card, okay? And our crown chakra is about is the energy of our divine guidance, okay? So it may seem a little odd to have a card about the shadow self be in the crown chakra deck, but as we stated, these shadows are an extension of your consciousness, and they're actually working for you in loving divine order. And everything in existence is created by God Creator Source for a purpose. Now, how does this relate to the lunar eclipse? Okay. As you all know, we are in a full lunar eclipse. This one is called a blood moon, because the moon turns like a red hue as it filters the sunlight, as the sunlight is filtered through the moon. Now, a lunar eclipse happens when the sun and the earth and moon are all in alignment. And the moon passes through the shadow of the earth, okay? Because you got the sun on one side of the earth is in the middle, and then the moon is on the other side. And we know that if the light is on us here, then the shadow is going to appear on the opposite side, right? So the shadows are actually cast by light, right? Without light, you don't have a shadow, okay? So think about that. That's also very representative. Now, when we look at this sun, earth, and moon alignment, let's think about what this represents, okay? The sun represents the light of truth. It represents the absolute truth. It is a representation of God Creator Source, right? The sun is the source of life on the earth. It gives life to the earth. And the earth represents the people. It represents the collective, okay? It represents us as a collective. And the moon represents our emotions, okay? Now, emotions are very interesting in the sense that another way that they correlate to the moon is that the moon also gives light in darkness, okay? So the moon lights up the night sky. So the natural light that we have at night comes from the moon, okay? Now, our emotions also act as a light in darkness or in unawareness, right? Because our emotions point us toward something that is good, right? Or something that is going wrong, okay? A lot of times when an emotion comes up for you, it's pointing towards something. It's showing you something. It's casting light on something. And this could be something that's good, something that warms your heart and shows you, the way, a path that you should align with, that would be good for you to align with. But sometimes our emotions are also pointing towards something that is not in our best interest. So you may have an emotion of outrage, an emotion of feeling betrayed, an emotion of even being afraid or cautious of something, right? And it's pointing toward the fact that that thing is not in your best interest, okay? Now, it is true also that our emotions sometimes can deceive us a little bit, okay? So an example of that may be a go-to emotion like fear or anger that's actually coming from something that's just unresolved within us, okay? And as we know, full moons and lunar eclipses also represent truth being revealed, okay? A full moon lunar eclipse represents truth being revealed, so it represents revelation, okay? So how this relates to the shadow self, our oracle card that we pulled, is that our shadow self is something that typically resides in darkness. But it's something, in order for us to grow beyond that insecurity, beyond that unresolved trauma, beyond that habit or toxic trait, the best way to begin moving beyond that is to face it, to turn and face it and deal with the truth of that matter. What is the source of this shadow? What is the source of this insecurity? right? What is the source of this deep, dark thing that's plaguing your life? So, most of us have heard of shadows before, or heard of the shadow self. We've heard of shadow work. This term was popularized by the psychologist Carl Jung, who introduced it to Western psychology, right? Who's credited with introducing this concept to Western psychology. And what Carl Jung said about the shadow self is that if you ignore it, if you try to avoid it, if you do not deal with it, it will rule you and you will call it fate. It will rule you and you will call it fate. What does this mean? Well, on an energetic level, the things that we do not face, that we do not resolve, the things that we try to push down and bury deeply, the traumas, the energy blockages, they begin to attract more of the same to us. Okay, they begin to attract more of the same to us all the time. And a great example of that is how this plays out in relationships. So let's review another card that we pulled earlier this week. It's Tragic Love, number 7. 7 represents transmutation and transformation. The Tragic Love card says, are you programmed for tragic love? Early childhood abandonment, rejection, manipulation, etc., trains the brain to associate love with toxicity as an adult. Okay, so when these things happen in early childhood, abandonment, rejection, manipulation, etc., it trains the brain to associate toxicity with love as an adult in your adulthood. Okay, so residual energies from these events attract more of the same scenarios until the trauma is fully resolved. Okay, so this continues to play out in love relationships of all kinds. This includes family, friends, and romantic relationships. Okay, so revelation, toxic patterns, and error code deletions were the keywords on that card. Revelation, toxic patterns, and error code deletion. Okay, so all of these things are related to the lunar eclipse because the lunar eclipse represents truth being revealed, the light, especially this blood moon lunar eclipse. Think about it. The sunlight, which represents the light of truth, it represents source, the source of life, the creator. That light is being filtered through the moon, which is what gives the moon that red hue in a lunar eclipse. So there are a lot of things going on, even within the collective, right? What we're all experiencing together as humans right now, that also represent truth being exposed, truth being revealed. The shadow of the collective, the shadow side of the collective is being revealed. And as we said earlier, what's true in the same thing was true in your personal life, your personal shadow, turning and facing that truth, allowing the light of truth to be shown on your shadow is the only way to reveal those shadows and to learn what it's actually attempting to teach you, what your shadow is attempting to shed light on and show you where you need balance, to show you where you need healing. Well, the same is true for the collective. As a collective, we are all experiencing this Epstein files trauma together, right? So it's very triggering for people. It's extremely triggering for people, right? Especially if you have that type of trauma within your own past, within your own life, within your own family. And it brings up feelings of helplessness, right? This is being shown to us, this old pattern, this toxic pattern of the powerful, overpowering those who are vulnerable, right? Those who appear weaker, being overpowered by people who are in high places, right? And this type of trauma, these ugly acts that were committed, are a perfect representation of someone in power taking advantage of someone who is weaker than them, right? And as we see it playing out, especially in North America, the way it's playing out here so far, people are not, the bad actors are not being brought to justice. Okay, so is it a coincidence that this blood moon lunar eclipse is visible from North America? I don't think so. I don't think so. It's not visible from everywhere. It's not visible all over the world, right? But one of the places, I'm not sure if it's also visible somewhere else. You can fact check that, but it is definitely visible from North America. And North America, we've been shamefully, um, our government has not responded properly at this point. There are not proper investigations being conducted. Okay, so we're being shown our shadow as a collective, things that we have been allowed to exist in dark places, things that we've turned away from, things that we have shame, things that we have shame about, and that we have dealt with by shaming. Okay, and shame is a form of darkness. What you shame stays in the dark. Okay, it does not get exposed. And anything that you are ashamed of within yourself, and you turn away from, it doesn't get healed. It gets repeated. Okay, even if you are the bad actor, even if you are the offender, okay, if there is an offense, that you are committing, if you're in some cycle of addiction, for example, that shame will cause you to be in denial about that behavior, and that denial causes you to hide it. The shame and denial causes you to hide it, and when you hide it, it's still bothering you. Whatever is at the root of that behavior is still bothering you, so you end up repeating it again just to soothe that tension, and you're in this never-ending loop, the shame loop. Okay, shame is the lowest vibration. Okay, is shame. Okay, and a lot of people think of it as fear, but shame is an even lower vibration than fear. Okay, so this is something that we really need to look at, you guys. Again, the message on the card, it says shadow shaming is holding you back. You are being guided to acknowledge and examine your flaws. So whether you are the bad actor or you have been guilty of protecting a bad actor, right? An offender, an abuser, that is a part of the problem, right? So if you are dissatisfied, if you are triggered by the way that this whole situation has happened, with the Epstein files, if this is triggering for you, if you have an issue with the way that it's being handled, my biggest suggestion for you would be, on an energetic level, an energetic solution to that would be to stop protecting the offenders, the abusers, the bad actors in your own life, in your sphere, right? Stop protecting and making comfortable the bad actors and offenders that are operating within your family, right? If there's a person who is an abuser in your family, whether it's pedophilia or whatever, stop making them comfortable. Don't be a part of protecting them, right? If there is a survivor in your midst, support them. If you are a survivor, support yourself in the best manner possible. And if you feel able and ready to share your story, share it. Share your truth. Okay. Now, why is that the answer? Because as a collective, it's time for us to allow the light of truth to break this cycle. This thing is being shown to us on such a large scale to give us an opportunity to break that cycle. The abuse of powerful people over those who have less power in the natural, in the 3D, than they do. Okay, now we know energetically we are all powerful, right? And the frequency of truth is something that we can all tap into to empower ourselves. Okay, so we're not going to be on here super long tonight. If you have questions, now would be the opportunity to ask a question right now, and we will, if it's a relevant question, we'll go ahead and get that question answered for you. We'll address that question in our comment. But I really want you guys to think about this. Shadow shaming is holding you back, okay? And this is very much related to the lunar eclipse, okay? It's absolutely no coincidence that, this card is coming out in our readings right now, okay? So I want you guys to reflect on that. If there are parts of yourself that you have been shaming, a part of yourself that you have been in denial about, be honest with yourself about that. Be honest with yourself about that, even if you are the bad actor. Okay, I'm going to encourage you to be honest with yourself, be honest with others where appropriate. And if you want to find out more information about that, in particular, I also encourage you to check out another channel that that I contribute to here on YouTube called The Elemental Soul. The Elemental Soul. And there we have a series called Yeshua Speaks. And the first few videos of the Yeshua Speaks series, there's a Yeshua Speaks playlist when you pull up the channel. It is channeled messages from Yeshua speaking to abusers. Okay. The Elemental Soul is a group of content creators. We have an app that you can download called the Elemental Soul. But at the Elemental Soul, we do not shy away from this issue. Who needs energetic healing more than an abuser? Right? So we have to have enough compassion within ourselves to understand that abusers also need help, need healing energetically. If we don't come to face that truth as a society, I'm telling you guys, this thing will never leave us. This scourge will always be among us. Okay? Abusers, especially physical and SA abusers, are people who have a very deep wound to their feminine energy, to their divine feminine. Okay, these people are attacking the outward reflection, the external reflections of the divine feminine, okay, of feminine energy, because the attack that they've already done, the attack that they've already been programmed to do on their own divine feminine energy, the crimes against the suppression of their own divine feminine energy is no longer enough. So they now need to attack reflections of that divine feminine energy externally. Okay, and this is a way for them to feel powerful again. But these people have wounds that involve them having had the divine feminine within themselves to be repressed, to be abused, to be suffocated, right? And not allowed to express. So check out that series. There are messages to the abuser and to survivors of SA, child SA, even SA in adulthood. Okay, so those are very helpful messages that can be found on the Elemental Soul channel. And I really thank you guys for participating, for interacting with this content. This is how we are able to make a change, you guys. I know as we witness things unfolding, all the things that are being, exposed, and it feels like you can't do anything. It's a very helpless feeling. But what you can do is tune into the frequency of truth in your own life. Allow the light of truth into your own life. And as we do that, the frequency of truth, the light of truth will begin to encompass the earth and create a shift, an energetic shift, an energetic change in what we're all experiencing here as the collective. We do have the opportunity to end the cycle of abuse, okay? But it all starts with confronting the shadow self, the shadow self, okay? And again, this is from the Seven Centers of Attraction Oracle deck, which I will be making available to the public this year. Stay in touch with my channel, with my YouTube channel, or with my Instagram page for announcements on when that will be available. And thank you guys for all the support that I've been receiving as I've been discussing these cards and sharing these cards, which I'm going to continue to do. So that's it for tonight, guys. I don't see any questions coming in, but thank you guys so much for tuning in. If this resonates for you, please leave a comment. Whether you're watching this now or later on, please leave a comment as to how this resonates for you and the things that you intend to do in your life to bring the light of truth, the frequency of truth, and to cause and create that to become the dominant frequency in your life so that you can attract something different. Okay. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I will see you again next time on Attracting Love Energy. And peace and blessings.